Okay, this is a video from September 28th, 2012. A few weeks, I believe, after I was released from reform school now. So you can kind of see the difference. The last video, in part one, I played you a video from July something, 2013. This one's from September 28th, 2012. A few weeks after they'd taken me out of, not reform school, excuse me, La Selva outpatient. In earlier September, I think it was like September 9th or something like that, okay? I'm on medication here. Listen to my voice. Listen to how I sound now, and listen to my voice then. Remember, when I was an outpatient, I was there for a little over a month, I believe, and before that, I was at Mills Peninsula for several weeks. So at this point, I had been on medication for about 2 months. This destroys their zombie theory. Oh, well, after a few weeks, you know, the side effects go away. This is 2 months, not 2 weeks, 2 months. Listen to my voice.
This is another Hispanic gang fight. Don't take prescription pills. They kill 40,000 people a year in America and cause about 500,000 emergency room visits.
See, nothing has changed my perspective on powerful, quote-unquote, antipsychotics. Okay? A, they're wrong about, you know, that I'm delusional. I'm right. I'm giving you facts. I didn't make up this stuff. I didn't say, oh, you know, God told me that they killed this many people. No, I got this from the CDC website. I got this from valid sources. You know, and listen to my voice.
Scrap up. I'm just playing around. Stop the brown violence. You know, it's not worth it. You get old, and, you know. Champion, a great warrior, martial artist of over 15 years. And I'm here to tell you that the right way to go in life is to use your mind.
Now, keep in mind that right now I'm in a situation that's a catch-22. The female I love doesn't want to put up with what's going on. For obviously, you know, anyone, you know, I'm honest with them. They're like, oh, well, you know, maybe I don't want to do that. And, you know, most people are going to say that. There's nothing surprising about that, you know. And so she's like, she wants a normal life, you know. Big Brother wants me to go on their death pills and sound like this.
They're trying to divide us. They're using psychiatry on teens to kill the most on little babies and Porsche.
Now, you are going to have complete unscrupulous, out-of-touch idiots saying, well, I don't feel sorry for you. You did something you weren't supposed to do. So I gave my opinion on psychiatry, which is something that literally millions of Americans literally have done. I gave my opinion on the race of the ancient Egyptians, and that was really the only major things that I did. I wasn't really advocating violence or warfare or fighting back. So for giving my political opinion on things, you know, I quote-unquote did something I wasn't supposed to do, and I deserve to be put in a situation where either I go fucking brain dead or I'm homeless and probably jump off a fucking cliff. Either I go brain dead and have an increased risk for suicide, which is what psychiatric medications do, or I fucking go homeless and, you know, because I'm homeless and miserable as fuck, and, you know, and used to be a brain surgeon, you know, son of 2 doctors, and the contrast, you know. Most people go homeless. A lot of them were poor to begin with. Imagine being the son of 2 doctors, and there's a dramatic fall, you know, in standard of living. So, you know, that was the position I was in. I'm not saying that, oh, you know, it's worse for a poor person to be homeless. I'm just saying you have to understand, you know, what I'm talking about, the situation, the circumstances. There is no way that these people are right. Okay, now let's rewind. Okay, let's rewind back to before I go to the psych ward. And how do I sound? Okay, I'm going to play you 2 clips. I've gone over this in my other videos, but I put it on Facebook, and I've done this before in my other videos, but they're kind of buried. Okay, here's one. All right, let me show you this. For those of you who smoke marijuana, this is very obvious. For those of you who don't, you're going to have a little bit of trouble understanding. Okay, you see this white flake right here? This is one of the things that fell off my weed from the Cannabis Club. You can tell okay, just watch. Okay, maybe I don't say anything in this video about it, but you can see there's these white flakes on it that are definitely not supposed to be there. And then this white thing fell off it, you know. They literally must have ground the medication, the psychiatric medication, and put it on my marijuana. Okay, this is not in my fucking head. From somebody, up to this point, I'd smoked marijuana for over a decade before that video, okay? Keep that in mind. Now you're going to see and it's affecting me. You know, you know, the meds, just like, you know, it was throwing me off. They were giving me an unpredictable dose. It was throwing me off. Now, what was the last video? Okay, so you can see the change. What happened is, at this point, I'm really a mess. You know, I'm smoking marijuana. They're harassing me. They're drugging me covertly. This is when I come back. Okay, my room was cleaned up. I didn't clean up my room like that. I came back, that's how my room looked, because they had moved all my stuff, the plants, you know, they've taken some of my things. I had like this mirror with the cross in it. They'd taken some of my stuff. So when I came back, you know, that's what it was. There's not much of a difference between me here and me here, you know. If you really look at the, you know, the major difference is that I was forced to live my life and be more of a square, and my room is cleaned out for me when I get back. It's not something I did myself. So you can't say, oh, you took the medication and blah, blah, blah. They would love you for you to say that, okay? And look at what I'm saying. All of you apologize and quit your devil street job. Faisal Global Security, Rockefeller Timeline of Evil. Shame on you, Rockefeller. Valporic Acid. And before that, even I said video for criticism. You know, feel free to comment, you know. There was many people watching my videos then, you know. See this one, for example, 326 views. You know, you know, some people were following. I had a fair amount of subscribers. Nobody was saying anything. They kind of understood what was going on. Those few people who were consistently watching my videos were like, yeah, we see what's going on. These people are drugging you and provoking you. Okay? And plus, there was the wind. Just like I showed you earlier in part 1, there's the breeze going through my room. When I was putting up the stuff for the lights, I had never grown weed before, so I wasn't good at, you know, growing it. I wasn't good at blocking the light out. You know, over time, you know, it started getting worse and worse. Okay, so you going back here, see this? You know, I had it under control on this one. I had it under control for a while, and then I start adding more stuff to it, and the wind's blowing more, and the light's getting through, so I'm hanging up more stuff, and so, you know, that's all that is. Okay? And so then, you know, here's another one before the thing's up. So yeah, it was pretty much what happens. And so then I start growing out my hair. The reason why I was growing out my hair at that point was it's interesting. Okay, anyway, the reason why I was growing out my hair was because it was a sign of rebellion. It was a sign of still being a militant, you know. A lot of people, they didn't really catch on to that, is that I didn't change my views. I was still very rebellious. I never saw it their way. It's similar to when I came back from boot camp when I was younger, Ascent in Northern Idaho, after going to CEDU Reform School. Those of you who are interested in what it's like, there's a documentary called Surviving CEDU on YouTube. So, you know, you couldn't logically say that, you know, oh, I was going out of my mind, and that, you know, the medicine made me better, and you can just tell by the videos. That's what they would want you to come to, the conclusion they would want you to come to. That's what psychiatry is, you know. It's fabricating evidence, it's creating images and facades and trying to make you see it their way, you know. It's very horrible. Very horrible. You know, just like you saw in that voice, you know, in the video I played for you earlier, you know, the voice that I had, and, you know, you could tell that I wasn't human anymore. I wasn't feeling things like I used to. I was kind of like, I feel a little bit, and I just kind of, the medicine would kick in. It was like this huge weight on my shoulder. I might get up for a little bit to stretch my back, and then boom, I'm back slumped, held down, you know, except for it was mentally, obviously, not physically. Yeah, you know, and some of the worst days of my life was on psychiatric medication. And so these people just really don't get it. I've gone way out of my way to explain to them exactly what happened, why. The first time when I was sent to reform school, I carved this broken heart into my wrist. And people do a lot worse than that when they get their heart broken, especially when you're a teenager trying to find yourself. I mean, any psychologist that I would explain this to who is not completely brainwashed by psychiatry, who doesn't work in a psych ward, any logical, fair, and balanced psychologist, they would say, yes, we understand everything you're saying, period. And they would probably say, if I was in your shoes, I probably would do the same thing. You know, seriously, period. Period. There's no doubt in my mind at all. Anybody who looks into this stuff, the same way I have, who's not paid by Big Pharma, who has no vested interest, not in a secret society, no political reasons, no bias, you know, just a fair-minded individual, you know. My parents aren't those individuals. My family are not those individuals. They are control freaks. The very first time I ever went to the psych ward, they drove me there themselves, and the people, even the people at the psych ward, said they weren't supposed to do that. All I did was visit the neighbor's daughter. I stepped 20 feet outside the house. I come back in, they start coming at me with this crazy story. Oh, you need help and you have temporal lobe. I need help? No, at that point on my mind was I need some intimacy with a female, and so I walked 20 steps outside the fucking gate where you couldn't see me, and your paranoia kicked in, and your delusional thinking kicked in, you know? It's sad, you know, when people have a control freak, God complex, paranoia issue, you know, all psychological, nothing genetic about it, it's all psychological. You know, there's a tiny genetic component, but you know what I mean, it's all environmental, all psychological, all the experiences in their life made them like this. You know, well, you know, the experience in life is what led up to this. And they want to take it out on me. They want to, you know, and that's what happened, you know. Is, you know, when you're a brain surgeon's son, there's great expectations, and there's them trying to cover up and save face. I used to be told things that, oh, you have the same name as me, and that, you know, if you do something wrong, it's going to be in the newspaper, and it's going to make me look bad. You know, I grew up with many lectures about how my behavior reflects on the family. I'm sure some of you have had the same sorts of lectures, but not to the degree that I have, everything considered. So, you know, it is impossible to be a good person and to side with psychiatry. Impossible. Period. And just like this video and part one, and just like pretty much the last few videos, speeches that I made, not the demonstration martial arts, but probably the last 5 speeches I made since the one in the green and blue shirt, they've all been made because of what these people are doing to me. You know, I was ready to just, you know, start making videos about the Lord. That was my plan. I think I even stated that. I'm just going to talk about scripture. I'm not going to get specific, but then they do things to me. You know, my life, you think I plan to get my heart broken and to start acting up and start, you know, being depressed and upset and joining gangs and stuff like that? No. It's what society did to me. And for them to try to play it off like it's just some genetic thing, you know, it's what they've always done, sweeping things under the rug. You know, oh, this person is crazy, you know, don't listen to them, you know, etc. It's the same thing they do with whistleblowers. They say, see the company psychologist. It's the same thing they do with rape victims when they don't want the truth to get out. You know, oh, she's just had issues. You know, this person, they attack their character. You know, how do they defend someone who's accused of rape in court? They attack the victim's character. That's what they do. You know? I mean, don't be surprised when the people who do what they do what they do. Plausible deniability. Fabrication of evidence, falsifying evidence, twisting things, so on and so forth. You know? And they just couldn't leave it alone. I'm taking down some of my harshest videos, right? And, you know, they just couldn't leave it alone. They're such control freaks. They just couldn't leave it alone. They just were hell-bent to drug me, hell-bent to provoke me, so full of revenge, spite, and they're a bunch of control freaks who are feeling vengeful. It's a very simple way to put it, very straightforward way to put it, you know? And that's what's going on. Now, we're at the point where even though it's not in their best interest to keep fucking with me, they're still doing it. Even though I've been, they know that for quite some time I've been gathering evidence about what they're doing, they're still doing it. Because they're so vengeful and petty. They're so used to being unlawful, immoral, unethical, unprincipled, and immature that they keep doing it. I mean, these people are absolutely sick. Whether you're talking about the people who roll with it or the people who are pushing for it the most, none of these people deserve to be in the position they are in. They all should be in prison. And let's face it, they all should be in prison. Society is not punishing them. So obviously, society is a broken system. This crony capitalist system is a broken system. Or else these people would have been addressed a long time ago instead of allowing their complexes to completely destroy, devalue, and undermine the moral fabric of society. They lack the genuinity. They lack the morality. And their great propensity for evil Shows all the time.